Hi, it's Michael Brown with Ironwood Credit, and I want to share some insight with you. Whenever you're paying off a collection account, make sure that you keep documentation of that debt that you've paid off and settled with any creditor. For example, if you have a credit company or a credit agency that is collecting on an old debt that you have and you've settled that debt and you've decided to pay them, make sure you keep documentation of that account. I almost explain it like a legal process to a lot of our clients. So you really want to have documentation all the time. So whether you're paying it off by credit card, money order, or a check, make sure you keep documentation or receipt of that, in addition to making sure you maintain the account number whenever you've paid that off. Something to keep in mind is, although you've paid that debt or collection off to that creditor, they're under no obligation to report that payment back to your credit report. So make sure you check your credit report 30 days to 6 weeks after you've made that payment to see if that is reflected on your credit file, and in most cases it probably isn't. So it's really going to be up to you to go back to the credit agency to dispute that item and to tell them that information has been paid. And one of the things they want to make sure that you have is documentation of proof of payment and the account number to verify that you've actually paid that account off. One of the situations that I came across with our client is that her and her husband actually just recently purchased a house. They closed escrow on a home back in June, and under today's lending conditions, the only loans you're going to get out there are actually government loans, or either FHA or VA loans. So what you have to keep in mind is, whenever you're applying for that loan, there's an automated system for underwriting. It's DU or AU in terms of the lending practices, and what it does is that it spits out a list of conditions and underwriting conditions in order to qualify for that loan. And some of the conditions for the loan was they had to pay off some of these collection accounts. Well, they paid off the collection accounts through title and escrow. So they were required to put down 3% for the loan, but they were also required to put in funds in escrow to pay off these collection accounts, so the collection accounts were paid out through escrow. They didn't keep a receipt of those items. However, what we did is we actually went through back to the title company, and the title company does what we call a HUD settlement statement. On that HUD settlement statement, it listed all the collections and accounts that were paid as part of close of escrow. So we're using that documentation as a receipt to send out to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian to show that we actually paid these items off and have those items reported on the credit report as being paid. So keep that in mind whenever you're going through that process. If you're using our software, the letters that you want to use to actually handle these items, if you're in the beginning phases of negotiating with creditors, and you don't have the money to pay off these debts, and let's say, for example, you're trying to get qualified for a mortgage and reporting these items on your credit report, you can actually use our request to pull back letter to send to the collection agencies. And in some cases, they may not report these items on your credit report. If that doesn't work, you can actually use our debt settlement letter. Our debt settlement letter is a letter you can use that actually shows that you're settling the debt. Here's the amount you're settling it for, and there's documentation based on this letter that you're settling it. So you can use that in addition to maintaining receipts and documentation for paying off that debt. If you're down the road and, for example, the creditor has not reported these items as being paid on the credit report, just simply use our debt validation letter. Our debt validation letter is actually sent out to the credit agencies to validate that debt. So that'll actually settle those items. Those are the 3 letters I would use in this process, and those are letters that we've explained to our clients to use whenever they're repairing their own credit. So if you have any questions or comments, obviously you can send me an email, post a comment on our blog. If you have any questions, obviously check us out on the web at ironwoodcredit.com. And again, it's Michael Brown. Thanks a lot, and take care.